Hello, my angels. Welcome back to Angels Anonymous. I'm Vanessa. Thank you so much for being here. Today's episode, I'm very excited to talk about, and I feel like the episodes leading up to this one have kind of like built upon themselves. Last week's episode was about a December reflection, my mental health plan, and that correlated with where I was last year at this time. Last year at this time, I also was down so bad with my ex, and I feel like I quantum leaped in this last year, especially around this time last year into the new year. Like, my whole world shifted, and I really wanted to talk about that today and how I manifested the love of my life. Now, if you know me, you know it is not going to be like I wrote down everything I wanted, bam, boom, he showed up. There's going to be so much more nuance that I address in this episode, and I just honestly chose that title because it's clickbaity and everybody wants to know how the fuck you manifested your love. So I want to tell this story about how Spencer and I met, where I was at this time last year, what I was writing about, especially with my love life, what I was going through, and how I think that I manifested Spencer. And I was so specific about what I wanted, how I wanted to feel, and I wrote that down in the present time. Like, I'm attracting this and I'm letting go of this and I'll get into all the details. But I think that I was a contributing factor in this love showing up for me. And the hard thing about manifesting love is it's not on our timeline. There were so many other relationships. It's not like I had a crystal ball where I thought that at 28, that's going to be the person that I meet. And then even now that I have him, it's like, I'm not guaranteed that this plan forward of moving in together, wanting to get married, having kids, I have no idea where this relationship is going to go. No idea, right? We don't know what we have for the rest of today, for tomorrow. So to find your security and your identity in that, I think can be tricky, or to put our destinational happiness on getting a ring, having a kid, thinking XYZ is going to fix it. That is not what I'm trying to get at here today. I just want to explain my thoughts on attracting love, about perspective with dating is a huge topic I'm going to cover today, and how your perspective and what you choose to talk about changes everything about your experience. And yeah, just do a little bit more reminiscing, a walk down memory lane a little bit so you guys can see where I was. And if any of you are wondering how I met my mans and wondering where you can meet your mans, let this be a true testament that I was in a space that was so aligned for me. And I'm so grateful that I met him there and not anywhere else, not at a bar, not on an airplane, not at a grocery store. It was pure alignment. So let's get into it. Let's breathe first. I'm also leaving on a flight in 3 hours. I have to leave, and I'm planning to record 2 episodes today before I get out of here. And I wanted to get my nails fixed too, because I just got my nails done. I don't know if you can see the color. It's literally the same exact color as my laptop. And I had saved this dirty martini green with chrome on the top. But if you've ever gotten chrome, sorry, we're not breathing yet. I have a story to tell. If you've ever gotten chrome, when you pick the color, you don't know what it's going to look like when the chrome goes on top. It's not just it stays the same color as what you pick and then it amplifies it, or it's sparkly. It completely changes the color of what you picked. So I was feeling, oh no, is this all too loud? Hello? Okay. I feel like this is better. So I was feeling extra nervous about this green not turning out, because I got green exactly at this time last year and it turned out the same, this musty, almost matte, even though it's chrome. It just looks weird on my nails. I feel like it looks like Crayola crayon tips. I don't know. The color is just off. And I really struggle with saying in public or to somebody that I don't like something. And so I just swallowed it and was I don't really care. Yeah, I like it. But I wanted her to do a tester nail and she didn't she didn't do it. So I just was like, yeah, it's fine. But now one of my toenail polishes came off and I'm like, okay, if I go back in and I'm like, hey, will you fix this toenail? And then I can also low key be like, by the way, do you have time? Like, I have to leave by 3:30, but do you have time to change my color? And I'm debating if I try another green or if I'm just like, whatever, you don't have the color, and I do navy blue or like white or something for winter. So that's my huge dilemma. But I've been just anxiously thinking about going into the nail salon and asking for them to fix it, because that's my worst nightmare. And then like today I went to Green Collective and I ordered a almond cashew milk chagachino. If you've ever had that chagachino powder, it's like a mushroom powder. It's so fucking good. And I must have forgot to say iced, and she didn't ask me if I wanted it hot or iced, so I got it hot. And like, a hot drink just doesn't hit the same for me as a iced coffee does. I'm not a hot coffee girl. I'm a hot drip coffee. I'm a hot French press girly. At home, my own coffee is hot, but my to-go lattes, my going out coffees, iced always with espresso. So I drank a warm chagachino this morning, and of course I wasn't going to go up and say anything. And me and Anjali have this running joke. That's my best friend, if you don't know. We have this running joke that's like, she will go up and say anything, and if it was her, she would have just kept pushing at the nail salon until they understood what she was saying. Like, don't paint my fucking nails until you've done a tester. I don't want it. Or she would bring the latte back up and be like, this isn't what I ordered. I actually wanted it to be iced. And they'd probably be like, oh, do you want a cup of ice? And she'd be like, no, just remake it. Like, she gives zero fucks. And I love that about her so much. And I'm like, I wish you were here to like go to bat for me. Like, I don't want to do it. Mom, will you do it? You know? But I'm trying to get better at it. And she was like, yeah, people may not like me, but I like myself and I get what I want. And I was like, I wish that was me. That is so not innately me. I'm like, nope, it's fine. The running joke about me is I'm like, nope, it's fine. I'll literally eat a cardboard box and I'm like, yeah, it tastes good. It's fine. Mm-hmm. Anyways, okay, now we can breathe. That was my story. I'm all packed. I'm ready to go. Ground down. Empty the air from your lungs. Breathe in. Open mouth, exhale. Breathe in. Exhale. Breathe in. Exhale, let it go. Okay, so the day that I'm recording is the new moon in Sagittarius, and I picked the number 555 because Sagittarius, oh, I hope you can see Posy in the camera. She's a little snuggly cat. You can only see her back, but my sweet baby, I'm gonna miss you so much when I'm gone. I wish you could all pet her. Oh, now she's looking around. She found something. She literally sees spirits. It freaks me the fuck out. She'll like track something behind my shoulders and I'm like, dude, don't do that. Like, I do not need to know that spirits are at my house. Snuggly shrimp. Okay. So Sagittarius rules expansion, belief, truth, leaps of faith. Oh my God, this is so fucking perfect. What if it all works out? 555 is the angel number of major shifts, quantum leaps, perspective changes, choosing freedom over fear. This new moon isn't asking you to plan every step. It's asking you to believe bigger than your past evidence. That's so fucking good. Quote for new moon in Sagittarius and your 555 message: you are allowed to outgrow the version of you that needed certainty. Change is not a threat, it's an upgrade. 555 says the old story is dissolving. The new timeline responds to courage. And trust the nudge, not the outcome. For the new moon, you can always write down something that you're releasing, a belief you're releasing, especially around love, worth, or timing. Write one bold belief that you're choosing instead, and then take one aligned action in the next 48 hours. No overthinking. Sagittarius and 555 equals faith over proof, movement over stagnation, and trust over control. That's beautiful and so aligned with our message today. Like I said, this episode might sound a little clickbaity, how I manifested the love of my life, but this episode is really about perspective, and it's about, I just almost bit my lip. It's about being single. Help. It's about being single without making it mean something is wrong with you. That is something I struggled with the most to this day. I still say that I hate being single, and I think that that is a belief and a perspective that does not support me at all, but I just genuinely feel that way. I feel like there are some people that really enjoy being single. Also enjoy Posey giving herself a bath in the camera if you're watching. I think some people genuinely enjoy that space, but I've always been a relationship girly. I've always been a co-regulation person. I love touch more than anything in the entire world. Words of affirmation and physical touch are my love languages. I grew up that way. My parents are very affectionate, and so I've just always been somebody. I'm the baby of the family. I'm just like, freaking cradle me. Like, I want to be taken care of. I don't have that hyper independent energy. I feel like maybe in some aspects I do. Like, I literally traveled across the world. That's a story for another day. I think I've talked about Greece in some other episodes, but I literally moved across to Greece for a summer to try to stop smoking weed and to get away from my ex, my like OG breakup that like broke my heart into. He moved to the same city that I'm from, and so I'm like, I need to get the fuck out of here and just restart. And I thought moving across the world was going to save my life from that, but it didn't. Also, I want to highlight that you can date without becoming bitter, and this is really about choosing to believe, even when evidence doesn't prove this to be completely true, that what if it all works out? Because I didn't manifest love by being perfect or healed or ready for it. I manifested it by not giving up on believing that good things could still find me. I have had some beautiful aspects of relationships in the past, so this wasn't total blind faith, right? Like, I had some evidence to lean on of like, okay, people in my past have genuinely loved me, but I do have other friends who have never been in a relationship before, have never known that they could believe that they are worth being loved or they deserve being in love, and beautiful love has still found them. Like, my bestie is in the most beautiful relationship. This is her first man's ever. It has been the most beautiful. So happy for her, you know, like genuinely happy for her. And I think when I was single, when I am in my single chapters, I have a really hard time being happy for people who are in love. Like, I'm this crotchety old Karen that's like, fuck everybody who's in a happy relationship. Like, I want that. Their relationship probably isn't actually as good as it seems. Doing whatever I can to make myself feel better. And I just want to empathize with the struggle of being single, because it is hard. And in the in-betweens, when you start dating somebody, when you have no one to talk to, when no one's texting you every day, especially when you're fresh out of a relationship and you go through that withdrawal of not having the habitual reoccurrence of someone texting you and checking in on you, like, there's nothing like that. And so it does feel like a withdrawal. It does feel like you took social media off your phone and then some, because you're literally removing a source of dopamine from a person in your life, right? Like, that connection, there's going to be a space, a scar left there, even if it was just a situationship. Like, don't undermine any relationship that you have, even if it doesn't seem that long, even if it doesn't seem like it was that big of a deal or you didn't know what you guys were. Like, your feelings are valid, and some of the shortest relationships or like unlabeled relationships have hurt me the most. And I'm going to talk about some of my exes so that I can prove to you that even though I've dated some shitty people, you can still believe that there are good men in Denver or wherever you are. Because I think the classic thing that I hear is all Denver men are fuckboys and they're horrible. And I'm like, you're literally going to attract that. Like, what good are you getting from that if you're speaking that out? I want to start by being honest about where I was before this love showed up. And my last relationship, like, genuinely shook me. This relationship didn't shake me because this man was evil or abusive, but the mirror he held up for me was so heavy, and it showed so many wounds that I thought that I already healed, and patterns that I thought I had way outgrown, and patterns that I had never even been in. And I remember thinking that I am so far behind in my healing journey, and I'm going to have to be single for like years before God provides me with another person, that's like up to caliber with what I want, or that's healthy. I thought I was so behind and that I was going to be single for such a long time after that, because that relationship made me feel so energetically dense and codependent and closed. But there were so many factors involved that made me that way. I had crippling social anxiety. While I was in that relationship, I went on my ayahuasca retreat, and that surfaced anxiety on another level. But when me and this man broke up, like, I literally felt like a little baby who got my source of safety ripped out from me. Like, I feel like somebody stole my blankie or my pacifier. Like, he was my source of comfort and my home. And so the break was so harsh and so fast and so ground shaking. Like, I went through it and I fell apart, and I didn't know that that was healing. I thought that I was breaking, and I thought that I was going to be screwed and single and like lonely and going through it for a long time. In that relationship, I lost my light, and I didn't really realize that I did, because this man brought so much love and light to me. Like, our souls, the way we got along was beautiful, but we just were not meant for each other in any way. And that relationship changed me a lot, because we had such different perspectives on life and such different interests. Like, I stopped doing things I loved. I stopped going out. I stopped going to the mountains. I stopped moving my body. Like, I wasn't working out very much anymore. I just felt so dense, and my social anxiety was insane, and I just felt muted. And I think the people who love me saw that too. I didn't see it. I didn't see the light that I lost for myself. Like, I couldn't see it. I thought it was just normal. You try to make sense of what you're going through in your relationship and defend why, that's just a normal part of the evolution of a relationship, because nothing's perfect. There's no guidebook to know if this person's healthy for you or not, Instead of deciding after that I needed to fix myself, I made the decision to start doing things for me again, and not to meet anyone, not to manifest anything. I just all of a sudden had this pocket of time where I put my blinders on and was like, I want to start doing things for myself again. And in this journal entry, this was the 16th of December last year, and it was a full moon in Gemini around this time. And I wrote about how I was letting go of men being in the center of my life, that I was going to fight to love myself so hard, throw myself into my passions, stay focused. You guys, this is fucking crazy. Stay focused on my dreams, trust that God has a plan for what my path with love is going to look like. I surrender to the outcome, the lessons I meant to learn, the pain and suffering I meant to endure, and open myself to the possibility of it all. I let go of the personal attachment to my relationships and how I see them as a reflection of my own growth. It's not meant to be taken personally, only growth and lessons. I choose to release overwhelm, overstimulation, worry, procrastination, impatience, anxiety, discomfort with myself, and presence, avoidance, fear. Discomfort with myself and with presence, avoidance, and fear. To make my dreams come true, I'm calling in and cultivating more sisterhood. So I stopped focusing on like the love that I wanted so deeply. And I was like, how else can I fill my cup? Because you hear about when you start diving into your passions and focusing on the things that really bring out who you are and show your like light, your radiance, that's when that alignment happens. Usually it's kind of like love finds you when you're not looking. Like, that's so fucking annoying. I feel like you can still be open and you can still look. And I specifically remember saying to the universe that I wasn't looking, but I was open. And if the universe, if that force had other timing than what I thought, I was going to ride the wave. I wasn't like, okay, my books are closed now. I'm not dating. I need to heal myself. And I've had chapters like that before. So if you feel like you need to do that, if you feel like you haven't been single a lot in your life, or something really shook you, it is okay to kind of like close your doors. Like, when I was early in my sobriety, I didn't date for that first year. I had a couple slip ups of like going on a date or here and there. Of course, it wasn't perfect, but I did not date for a year, and that was essential, and that was a rule that I followed, and it was meant to be, right? Because if I hadn't done that, who knows where I would be now. So if you're meant to take a chapter like that, the universe is going to clear the way for you. And I think that when I talk about not taking things personal, when people aren't showing up in your life, when you aren't getting a lot of attention or compliments or responses on Hinge or feeling like you're noticed in the slightest or your ex isn't texting you, that is not personal. That is the universe protecting you from what is not meant for you. What is meant for you will not miss you, and what misses you is not meant for you. And to be so deeply rooted in that trust is everything I could ever want and more. Of course, do I move through that every day? No. But that's something that I come back to and I remember. What I was going to say about this journal entry, why it's crazy, is 12/16 is my mom's birthday. That's not really a correlated side note other than I love my mom so much and she's so special to me. Like the woman who literally birthed me, it was on that day that I met Spencer. I must have journaled this. I wish I wrote what time I journaled this, because I must have journaled this before I went to yoga. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about perspective. That's one side of it. Process your feelings, write down what you're letting go of. But notice how I didn't write or talk about the fact that like, fuck this dude, I'm over it, blah, blah, blah. I also am going to mention, sorry, I'm all over the place. I'm also going to read the next entry where I'm talking about I'm in the middle of going through that like urge to break it off with my ex. So we broke up in July and then we relapsed and like hooked up for periods of time, and we were hanging out around the holidays. I started vaping and hanging out with him all the time again. We were supposed to spend Christmas Eve and Christmas Day together, and last minute he canceled because of his own personal stuff, and I fucking flipped out and I blocked his ass. But this journal entry was 2 days before that, and I talked about how I feel the breaking coming on, that it's easier to stay than it is to leave, but I know the life I envision. I know I'm being called to break open, to swim through the turbulent waters of grief and heartbreak and keep my head above water, to accept the pain as long as she wants to stay, to welcome the discomfort of loneliness with a cup of tea. I just themed about that the other day. Oh my God. So everything that I'm saying and reading is bringing me down so many side tangents. So hopefully I like loop it back around to some unfinished thoughts that I have, but whatever, stay with me. This pain needs to be felt to be transmuted. No more distractions, no more shoving it under the rug with apps. Just me with me, unlearning the ways I have decentered the love I have for myself from my life. Accepting that I am a light in people's life and I don't have to save them. Others' emotions and experiences of the world are not mine to take on. Friendship is the foundation. This will be the most epic journey of self-discovery and love yet. The work is never over, even though I've been here time and time again. The universe decides when I am meant to attract partnership. I'll feel it or be so in love with myself that I'll magnetize it. There are infinite possibilities. I open myself to the most aligned, expansive, enlivening experiences God has for me in this lifetime. And when I say God, I mean universe. That's for me. Mine is not religious. I open myself to love in all forms while honoring the call to step back from dating and intimacy. And then on the 26th, Christmas, the day after Christmas, I said, welp, it happened. I got what I prayed for. I'm kind of concerned for how numb I feel. I know I'm busy, so it's hard to feel the full effects of it all. I'll do my best to embrace the waves when they come, to dive into them. I've already had moments where I've cried, but I think I've surrendered to the fact that I can't fix or save him. While painful, also liberating. Worried thoughts pop in, but I talk to those thoughts and remind them of the truth, that I have no control and it's time to break the pattern. And then on 12/20 is when I wrote down 2025, new year, new love. What behaviors and qualities I will no longer accept in a partner. What behaviors and qualities within me that show up that I'm ready to let go of and shift out of. You guys, I went deep into this. What needs to happen and who do I need to become / what qualities and beliefs do I need to have? Backtracking a little bit, okay? 12/16 is when I met Spencer, and I don't know if I journaled this before or after. 12/22, I'm writing about I feel the breaking. I'm meant to focus on myself and sisterhood and friendship. And I had already met Spencer, and I remember thinking about him after I met him, but he didn't get my number the first time that we met. So he wasn't like seared into my brain. And I was just, normally I'm fixated on men all the time. I'm looking for them in the grocery store. Like when I'm single, I'm thinking about it 24/7. I don't know why. That's just how my brain works. And for some reason, I just was in this pocket of surrender where I was like, I'm not looking. Like, obviously I thought he was cute when I met him, and I wanted him to ask for my number, but he didn't. And so it kind of just like escaped my mind. And so I'm going through this whole like death process with my ex while me and Spencer are like energetically preparing ourselves for each other. So I meet him. Then I'm writing and processing. And this is why I love journaling so much, is because what a gift it is to look back at something like this and be like, that's where I was. That's how I was feeling. It's an eerie feeling to like truly see your emotions and thoughts and like what you were going through at that time. A journal entry captures so much more feeling than like a picture does, or a past video I have of me crying. Like this puts me there almost like I'm reading a story, you know? So I'm journaling about the love of my life, and nowhere am I journaling about Spencer until January. End of January, I start journaling about him. Okay, let me finally tell you the story of how we met. So, like I said, I was doing things for myself. A little backstory. I taught yoga at Core Power in Minnesota, and I was on the management team in Minneapolis for Core Power, and we would have these corporate Core Power people fly out from wherever they were living and like do a training with us, and we would do like gratitude training and team building and all of this like high amp you up type energy stuff. It was almost like Tony Robbins type vibe, you know what I mean? Anthony Chavez is literally like the yoga Tony Robbins, if you've ever met him. So this man, I met him because he flew out to train us. I don't know how him and I like connected, because he was like a big fucking deal. Like he was kind of like an idol. When I met him, I was like, oh my God, this man is so cool and so powerful and so skilled and gifted. All that to be said, Abby, if you're watching, me and my friend have laughed because she keeps saying all that to be said. That's like her filler word lately, and now it just fucking happened to me. Great. All that to be said, he messages me a few years ago, says he's moving out to Denver, wanted me to teach for him at a studio he was opening. So I did. And then I left from teaching that at that space, and now I teach at Black Swan. And he removed himself from that company, and now he's teaching at Yoga Box. And he had been messaging me here and there, checking in and being like, come take my yoga class. And he had been teaching at that studio now for probably a year, or, you know, a good length of time. And we hadn't seen each other in a while. And I was just in this pocket of like, I need something new. I need to break my routine. I need to do something for myself. So Monday night Yoga Box class with Anthony rolls around. I show up, I give him a hug, and he grabs my yoga mat, and he sees my social media, so he knows what I'm going through. I'm sure I alluded to being single or going through a breakup at that time, and he's always just like hyping me up and like appreciating the fact of what I share and how I let my authenticity I literally cannot fucking talk today. How I let my authenticity shine through on social media. He's always supported me in that. And so he knows what's going on. Like he's up to date, and he grabs my yoga mat and he's like, I'm going to put you next to a hot guy. So he literally makes two people like part the seas so that I go in next to these two guys that are like friends, and I'm instantly attracted to Spencer. The other one, not so much. Sorry. You know that I absolutely ate that flow. I was handstand holding. I was strong. I was breathing. I was flexible. And he's like dying over there next to me, right? Like the level of endurance that women have for a hot vinyasa class compared to men. Not always, but I feel like the women hold it down because we are more tapped into like our mind-body connection sometimes, and like our breath. And I feel like Spencer's just hyperventilating next to me, like has no connection to like inhale, kick your leg high, exhale, low lunge. And he hadn't done his yoga teacher training yet either. So he's just doing his yoga practice, and I'm like fully centered in my breath. And then he looks at me at the end and he's like, geez, you clearly have never done that before. And I'm like, yeah, no, like been a dancer my whole life. Like I've been doing yoga for a long time. I teach yoga, and low-key dropped that I teach at Black Swan and he should come. So that was kind of like my invite. We had some other chats. I don't really remember what we talked about. I don't remember details of a whole lot in my life. So it was from the 16th until beginning of January, like after he got home from Christmas break or winter break, that I hadn't seen him. And in that time frame, I don't remember, I didn't have his last name at the time, so I couldn't look him up on social media. I kind of just let it go. Like, I'm sure he popped up in my head here and there, but I wasn't really thinking about him. And that's so unlike me. I'm normally like, oh my God, why isn't this guy texting me? Like, losing my mind over it. Why didn't he ask for my number? And of course I was a little butthurt, but I also just like let it go and moved on. I'm teaching my Sunday night class a few weeks later, and he shows up. And I genuinely did not recognize where I knew him from. And I'm like, and what's your name? And he's like, Spencer. And I'm like, wait, why do you look so familiar? And he's like, I took yoga next to you at Anthony's class. And I'm like, oh my fucking God, that's so embarrassing. But also like such a unconscious power move on my part. Like, who are you? Don't even know who you are, But I genuinely wasn't trying to be like that. I was like, I didn't remember. So takes my yin yoga class. I'm like, for sure, I serenaded him, like I'm making you fall in love with every word that I'm speaking from my heart. That's just what I do. That's just how I roll when a hot man comes to my yoga class. I can't help it. Don't cancel me for that. Doesn't ask for my number at the candlelight class. I'm like, okay, cool. Tight. Then I might have gone to that Monday's yoga class at Yoga Box, or the next week, hoping that Spencer was going to be there. I would text Anthony and be like, hey, I'm coming to class. And he'd be like, Spencer's coming. And so I took that class again next to him. He came to my flow, or maybe we took like a couple more classes together of Anthony's, still not asking for my number. I think the fourth time that I had seen him, it was at my flow. Anjali was in town at the time. I had just gotten my cat. It was like a whole whirlwind of like rebirth and new things coming my way. Having Anjali stay with me for 2 weeks, that was literally the most magical weeks of my entire year. And like getting Posey, my whole life changed. I truly quantum jump when Anjali's here. I don't know what it is, but like her energy with mine, dude, she's the best thing for me. I love her so much, and time with her is just the best. So she's at my yoga class. She meets him and she looks at me after class and is like, that is your man. That is your fucking man. I don't know what it is, but there's something, like, I feel it. And she's so intuitive that I'm like, okay, what? Like, no way. But I also low-key am like, wait, maybe I believe you. I don't know what we were talking about, but then he was like, well, can I have your number, or can I take you out to sushi or like dinner or something? And I was like, it's about fucking time you ask. And he was like, what? Like, did not put two and two together that 4 times after meeting somebody is like a lot. I feel like that's a long time to ask for someone's number, but we go on a date. At the time, I have a staph infection in my knee. It's literally swollen to a balloon, and I'm going through all these gut issues. I'm just like, great, I do not want to be dressed up and on a food date with somebody right now. There was something so different about this man and his energy. It wasn't needy. It wasn't codependent. It was just like, once he knew and once we connected, he took his time and was not hesitant, but like smart with it and smart with the pacing. And it kept me kind of on my toes, and I had to hold this possibility of me and him with an open palm that whole like first month or two. And I know you know what I'm talking about in the early stages of dating, when you're like, what are we? If you're not being love bombed and they're not telling you that they're in love with you on the second date, you're kind of in this like lull or this in between where you don't know what's going on, or if they're into you, or like, should we make a move? Who makes a move first? How far do we go? There's so much madness that happens in that chapter. And once I finally got that reassurance from him that he felt the same way about me, that he was envisioning, life together and starting to like grow feelings. And even without hearing that, like, I could feel that rooted commitment from him. And that was so different from other men that I've dated, because the man that I was with before him, we were so misaligned on like wanting to get married and wanting to have kids. And so I couldn't really envision a future with him, even though he committed to me and like moved in right away. And we were probably like not necessarily healthy for each other. I don't know. It was what it was. But the man that I dated before that, like officially, was a 10-month situationship. And I stayed for so long hoping that things were going to change. And I could easily look back at those relationships and be like, yeah, fuck men in Denver. It's so horrible. The dating scene is trash. Nobody wants to commit. Whatever you want to say. But where is that going to leave you? Like, how is complaining and writing that narrative for yourself gonna do anything for you? Focusing on that, I feel like, is only gonna create more of that for you. And that is not really what we want, at all. I don't want that. And of course I had periods where I was like, no, F those dudes. Like, I hate it here. But I always came back to my journal, and that is where I can channel into a centered state and a state of flow that's from my heart genuinely, and I can get a more accurate read on what I feel about the situation without all of the noise of gossip and complaining and why me and the victim mentality and the automatic, wounding that comes out. Journaling kind of helps clear that channel. And I think that's another reason why, if you're single and if you're wanting to manifest love, writing your feelings down, there's no one prompt that's gonna bring it into your life. But I think that's something that has allowed me to be open to the type of love that I wanted. And some other things that I did was listen to this Divine Feminine playlist that I created. And it's all about positive, affirmations, my energy budget, my energy is infinite. And there was this song called The Love Mantra by Dose Via. I don't know how you say that. But she says, think about the kind of love you want, hold on, but not too tight. And I swear her voice, the melody of that song, it made me feel like I was in a state of love before I even was. And that is manifestation. It's not waiting for the thing to feel it. It is becoming the frequency. And music does that so well. Music has been such a powerful tool for me to start creating positive thought patterns, because I am so automatically negative that I have to have things that help rewire. And I feel like there's nothing better to get stuck in your head than a song or like a manifestation or meditation on repeat, or a sticky note, or however you want to start to ingrain those pathways in. But for me, music has really been that. And that song in particular made me believe and feel like, think about the type of love that I deserve. And she talks about being turned on with a single gaze, and like everything that you want to feel in a relationship, she sings about, and you literally feel it in the energy of the music. I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like that song alone changed so much for me. At the end of the day, like, this complaining energy, or not being conscious of, not looking at the positive, not thinking, what if it all works out? Not thinking, maybe I will attract somebody who is above and beyond what I could, desire. That is so hard to believe in because of our wounded pasts. But complaining energy attracts experiences that confirm it. And you get to choose what you focus on. You get to choose what you speak life into. And you get to choose what you charge with your energy. I have another story of a flake that I could let dictate my whole narrative of men and dating men in Denver, because he is the most typical, like, flaky, non-committal Hinge guy. I matched with him on Hinge, discarded, did not respond, didn't even remember him. Met him on a plane on my way back from Minnesota to Denver. We were both from Minnesota, and I walked by him and I literally went into his aisle and was like, why do I know you? Like, why do you look familiar? And we couldn't figure it out. Maybe he knew who I was. I was convinced that he did, but was like too butthurt about the fact that I didn't respond on Hinge. That maybe he was just like, yeah, who are you? So I get back to my seat, call my friend, and I'm like, dude, who the fuck is so-and-so? Help me figure out where I know him from. So I re-download Hinge, scroll through my messages, and I find his name. And I'm like, oh my God, it all clicked. It all came together. Me and my friend had both matched with him, actually. And so him and I end up moving back to his aisle because the whole flight was pretty much empty. So I go back up there, so bold of me, and I'm like, hey, can I sit next to you? So we talk the whole flight, hit it off. We Uber home together, or share an Uber. I go to my apartment, he goes to his, gets my number. We hang out for like a month. But in that month or two period, we had such fun dates, like a coffee date, a hike, sleepovers. Like, it was such a vibe. In the in-betweens, he was such a flake, like would not text me back for a day or two. I remember I was at Halloween when we were talking, and like the first 3 days I was there, he didn't even reach out. And I was like, dude, we've been hooking up, we've been going on dates. That type of ghosting and like non-consistency with texting, no, I will never, ever. Maybe you're cool with not texting your dude for a few days, but that literally ruined me. I was unwell beyond. I was beside myself the first few days of the festival. Like, that's all I wanted to do was just like, you know, share my experience with him and have someone to check in on. And my phone was crickets. And that is the most isolating experience, especially being at a festival when everybody else, it feels like, is in love and with their person and dancing and vibing and on mushrooms. And I'm like, dude, this guy won't even text me back. Essentially, once I finally had enough anxiety that I was like, I can't do this anymore. We need to stop what we're doing. He didn't care at all. And he was like, yeah, no bad feelings. It's fine, whatever. And I was crying all day. Like, I was so hurt. He basically told me that he has this pattern where he has a bunch of like girlfriends and he's probably hooked up with half of them and then just like friend zoned them. And I think that was his pattern. And I was like, no. I don't have guy friends. I do not turn people that I've gotten feelings for into friends. That literally never works on either side. Whether I'm obsessed with them or they're obsessed with me, it never works. And unfortunately for me, I've had the reality of I can't have guy friends. I don't know why. Maybe that's something I've been telling myself and just reaffirming in my experiences, but guy friends do not work out. They don't work out well for me. I was so butthurt and sad and felt so embarrassed about being rejected when I thought our meeting story, everything was so serendipitous. I was like, no, we're for sure gonna date. Like, this man's is so aligned. He had so much going for him. His personality was amazing. And coming out of some of the past things I had been into this man, I was like, oh my God, yes, this is exactly what I want. I feel like we're perfect for each other. And I knew at that point that I was that bitch. Like, I had started to gain more confidence in who I am, you know, my depth, my wisdom, my connectivity to my emotions. Like, I know I have so much to offer. And if someone can't see that, it's like, I just want to convince you that I'm actually as cool as I know that I am. You know, sometimes he's just not that into you. What a humbling experience. The rejection was not easy, but none of these were failures. And that is a reframe that I didn't look at the time. I didn't see that they were mirrors. I didn't see that they were initiations. I didn't know what was coming for me. Each person showed me something that I needed to grow through. And the core message is like, the real manifestation wasn't a partner. It wasn't Spencer. It was choosing not to close my heart. And it was saying that even though in 28 years this hasn't worked out yet, I still believe that it can. And that is true faith. That is bravery to keep your heart open. That is love. A lot of us say, F the men in Denver, you know, there's no hope for me, because then we don't have anywhere to fall, right? We don't set ourselves up for failure, but you're also going to give yourself less of a chance to attract something that's truly going to help you, that's truly going to be something that you enjoy, right? Like, that you desire, instead of a wound or past trauma that's just trying to heal itself and repeat itself until you figure out the lesson. Maybe the lesson is the reframe in perspective in how you talk about your past and how you talk about yourself and how you speak to what you want instead of focusing on the negative. So if you're single, if you're tired, if you're dating, here's what actually helped me. Write what you want as if it already exists. And you can take some of what I wrote and make it your own. Not to control the narrative, but just to feel what it would feel like, to start tricking your brain into believing that you deserve that is your reality right now, because our brain does not know time. So you write that as if it's in the present, not I want this with that longing energy. Like, no, it's I've got it energy. Number 2, change the stories that you tell about dating, even slightly. Just notice how you're speaking about it. And then the next time you tell that story, maybe you tweak some things. Number 3, do things that reconnect you to yourself, not to outcomes. Notice how when I was at yoga that night, I wasn't hoping that I was going to meet a hot guy. And there's nothing wrong with having that hope. I have friends who have met the loves of their lives on Hinge, on a date that got set up when they were looking for it. I don't want you to go home with this whole, like, when you're not looking for it, it finds you, and think that you have no say in it, because I think you can do a lot to open yourself to attracting people. But focus on the things as much as you can that light you up, and put yourself in those spaces. If you don't want to meet somebody at a bar, if you don't want to meet somebody who drinks a lot or parties a lot or XYZ, don't go to bars. And of course, with the mans who was partying all the time and couldn't commit to me, I met him on a plane, and I met another guy through a friend. And so sometimes, oh my God, the wind just scared me. Sometimes those meeting situations, I would love to meet somebody in an airport, right? Like, that'd be a fun story if that was your person. But go to a coffee shop that you love, join a club, put yourself in situations, dance classes, yoga classes, talk to the guy at the gym. I got numbers from people at the gym. Like, there's so many ways to open yourself through doing things that you enjoy, that reconnect you to yourself. Number 4, practice the feeling of being in love through music, through movement, through imagination. And number 5, let go without becoming bitter. Release these past experiences, these past people, with softness, not resentment. Easier said than done. I still have resentment, right? And hold on, but not too tight. Hold it with an open palm. Don't grip it so each grain of sand just goes right through your fingers. Hold it so that it stays if it's meant to, and it flies away and leaves if it's not meant to be. If you're listening to this and you're feeling behind, you're not. Just because you're 28 or beyond and you don't have the love of your life yet, you're not behind. Everybody's story, everybody's timing is different. Easy for me to say because I'm in a relationship right now. I know sometimes I hate even talking about my relationship because I know what it feels like to be single, and hate everybody who's happy in love. And if you feel heavy, especially in this holiday season, post-holiday season, that does not mean that you are broken. It doesn't mean that you're undeserving of love. It doesn't mean that just because nothing has worked out yet, that nothing will. What if it all works out in ways that you couldn't plan? What if it all works out better than you could control it to work out? Does that make sense? I love you. And I promise your heart knows where it's going. Your heart knows. So just trust it. Surrender to it. Open it as much as you can through your journal, through heart openers and yoga. Just keep opening yourself. Don't let these fuckboys harden you. Put it on a t-shirt. Don't let these fuckboys harden you. Okay, love you. Bye.